Hello, everyone, and welcome to our February 11th meeting of the Topsfield Conservation Commission. I'm Dodge Shamroth, your chair, and I hope all of you have noticed that the daylight is definitely longer in the last few afternoons. It's really been nice. So I have something I have to read as usual. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2022 and H.62, as amended by 5.2506, this meeting public hearing will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access this meeting may do so in the following manner. For a Zoom meeting, see connection information below to join the meeting by Zoom, video conference, or by calling in by phone. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Topsfield Town website at topsfield-ma.gov. You may also reach out to conservation at topsfield-ma.gov or by calling 978-887-1510 for information and assistance. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, and public participation in any public hearing conducted during this meeting shall be by remote means only. And we'll start tonight's meeting with two NOIs which have asked to be continued. The first one is NOI 0873, and it's for School Avenue and 10 School Avenue at 41, map 41, lot 60, Topsfield Garage LLC, requested for redevelopment of School Avenue, and these have asked to be requested until next month. And the other one is an NOI 3070872 for 10 School Ave and 35 Rear Main Street, map 41, lot 60, and map 41, lot 133. The Topsfield Garages, LLC, Hancock Associates, request for redevelopment of subject lots, including construction of a restaurant and associated apertures. And we need to vote on this, correct? Okay.
Yeah. I can make a motion that we continue the hearing for NOI 307-0873 at School Avenue and 10 School Avenue, map 41, lot 60, to our March 11th, 2026 meeting.
I'll second that motion.
And how do we vote? Dodge Shamroth, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Ben Kyla, aye.
Oh, you're muted, Maureen. You're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Thumbs up if you're a yay. Okay. I will make another motion to continue the hearing for NOI 307-0872 at 10 School Avenue and 35R Main Street, map 41, lots 60 and 133, to our March 11th, 2026 meeting.
I'll second that motion.
And how do we vote? Dodge Shamroth, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Ben Kyla, aye.
Okay, thumbs up from Maureen.
Okay, good. All right, next we have a request. It's an RDNI for 2026-01 for 11 Parsonage Lane, map 32, lot 98. Snyder for request for tree and shrub removal and planting natives. And we have someone who's going to speak for them, correct?
Yes. Hi, I'm Cheryl Rafuse. I'm the
Hi, Cheryl. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm the lead on this project for my client, and I figured it'd be easier if I came rather than her because I don't know that she could answer your questions. So I submitted a design and the information from the arborist, and the main goal is to take out any trees that are dangerous to the structure, and take out invasive plants like burning bush, forsythia, which I know isn't technically on the invasive species list, but I've got personal opinions, and the plans will be replaced by the design I submitted, which has singularly native plants on it, with plant replacements for the trees that are being taken down as well. There's striped maple, there's some river birch, and there's also spice bush. Um, and I believe there's also a red bud in there, which is a little further south, but things are moving north.
Do you have a plan that you could potentially share? Otherwise, Jackie, I don't know if you have anything up. Just so we can get a visual.
Yep,
Jackie's got it.
Fabulous. Thank
Thanks,
you, Jackie.
Jackie.
it was very pretty.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so
Yes.
here's the plan, showing the wetlands on the back right, and then all the proposed plantings. And then I can show some of the trees, the existing trees when we're done looking at this plan.
Looks good to me, I think. So this is existing lawn right now, or
Currently, the area where the Petula is kind of weird dead space. It's doesn't have a lot of plants growing. I think they were using it as like a, I don't know. I don't know. It looks like it used to be a play area or something at some point. But so that I think is the only spot that's being turned into something that's way better than it is right now. The rest of it is currently garden bed, but where the red bud is and where the first witch hazel is on the left there is giant burning bushes. And then in that little indent and where that viburnum is, there's a couple really, really sad looking hollies that we're gonna take out, which aren't invasive, but they're like on the verge of dying. They don't look very good. Um, and then on the right side, that is almost all forsythia, that whole section. And they planted
Oh,
like 5 or something, 20 years ago.
Right.
And now it's just like it's taken over. So we're taking those out and putting in a serviceberry, these rhododendrons. I believe there isn't technically a garden bed right there, but it's lawn, and then we're planting like within the existing like tree cover in that area because those are gonna take a long time to fill in. So
okay. Yeah, they're existing garden beds. I don't expect any grade changes or anything to be happening.
no.
So, right.
how do you intend to remove the hazardous native species? Those
Oh,
kind of things.
the invasive plants.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we usually take everything over to brick ends where they superheat any of their compost that goes out. So I'm not worried about like spread. And the branches and stuff all go into their brush pile.
I take it you dig them out by hand?
Oh, you mean like actual removal? Yeah,
Yes.
we're probably just gonna take them out by hand. The soil there is not like compacted or anything, so I don't
Mhm.
foresee huge issues. I do have an arborist that I'm working with this on, which his letter is on your files, who's
Yes,
taking
I
out the
read it.
trees, and
Mhm.
there's a chance that we might have him use a stump grinder for 1 or 2 of them if we can't get them out, but we usually are able to get things out by hand.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, I guess I'll show the photos of the site. Let's see. Here's the ones that from today. Okay, so there's 2 trees here.
Yeah.
That one is leaning. This one, the arborist said it was hazardous. And
It's
then
a top heavy pine.
Yeah, I can see it's tall.
Yeah.
yeah.
that looks like a similar view.
And that's all the forsythia in the front there.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pointing the other way. I don't know if there's any trees marked in this one.
Mhm.
think so. And then, was there anything happening here?
I don't.
Oh, this one is marked.
Oh yeah, that one. That one, there's been branches that have been taken off of the top of it, and
Okay.
now it's just kind of, it's a little close to the house for a dead tree.
Is
I
this
think
the ash?
Yeah, I believe
Looks
so.
like none. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay,
They've got some good snags in the back they're leaving, which makes me happy.
Mhm.
So
and
how many,
Jackie, will all these plants cover our tree policy, the plantings?
Um,
so the ash is correct, or is it just
Um,
pretty badly borer infected?
Sorry, what was the question? It got cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is the ash is totally dead? Or,
It's totally dead. Like at the top, the all the bark is like totally off of the top branches.
yeah.
Um,
So
and
how many live trees are getting taken out?
I think it's 2 or 3.
Okay.
And then we're putting in more trees than
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So
That-
I think
that's
we're
what I
okay.
was
If we're not,
checking
someone
on.
let me know.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
I mean, looking at the plan, I can't, and based on the photos, I think that you're at least going 1-to-1, so I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Okay.
Um,
That's
yeah,
all I was
and then the
wondering.
other requirement for trees for RDNI is you can grind the stump but not remove the roots.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm hoping we can, I mean, I hate taking out stumps personally. So I'm hoping we can plant kind of around where the stumps are.
Yeah.
But on the trees, he's not grinding stumps. That would just be for the shrubs, in like the garden bed area that
Okay.
we would even think about grinding a stump.
Yeah, that would be better. Okay.
Anything else that you noticed while you were there, Jackie? I know the snow cover probably made it hard to tell.
Yeah, wasn't able to notice much else, but the plan certainly looks good.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have any
Okay.
more questions.
Anyone else have any questions? All right, now, does the public have any comment on this? Okay, then, we need a motion.
The motion to issue a notice of negligible impact for RDNI 2026-01 at 11 Parsonage Lane, map 32, lot 98, with standard conditions, including the condition that the conservation agent will be contacted in advance for approval of any invasive plant removal methods other than hand tool, if other than hand tools are to be used.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, and how do we vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Ben Kayla, aye.
Is that all of us?
Thumbs up from Maureen.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. All right,
Okay.
so,
All right, I should have that ready within a week. The determination to send out.
Cool. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
well, thanks
Um,
for coming and sharing. And it
yeah,
looks
not a
lovely.
problem. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm really proud of this one. Do you guys need anything else from me or am I
I think so.
good to go?
Thank you for
All right.
coming.
I think you're good to go.
Thank you for everything you do. Take care, guys.
Thanks for coming.
You as well.
Thank you.
All right.
No.
Next, we have a request for a certificate of compliance. Pardon?
Oh, is my audio now working?
Yes.
Yeah,
Woohoo.
we've been hoping you've been thumbing up each time. All right, a certificate for compliance for OOC 3070844 for 46 Alderbrook Drive, map 68, lot 15, wetlands and land management. Sperados. Sorry if I messed that up. And the problem we have is that there's snow all over the ground and it's difficult for us to go see that.
Yep.
And
So would you like
So
me to
I-
make a motion?
I think so.
Okay, then I'll put forward a motion to continue the discussion on the request for certificate of compliance for OOC 307-0844 at 46 Alderbrook Drive to March 11th, 2026.
I'll second that motion.
And how do we vote? Todd Shamrock, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Ben Kayla, aye.
Did Maureen say? I
Yes.
didn't, oh, I didn't hear. Oh, damn it. Sorry. Excuse me, folks. And I guess at this point, we're down to enforcements, and Jackie, you might want to take the lead on this.
Yeah, so 51 Asbury Street is still working on the restoration plan, so we can skip that, but their deadline is later this month, so they have some time.
Is this the riverfront one?
Yeah, it was along the Ipswich River.
Yep.
But their plan is due by the end of the month.
Okay.
Next is John's Lane amended enforcement order 2016-01 at 25 and 20 R John's Lane, which Mike DeRosa is here with a restoration plan.
Hi, everyone. Mike DeRosa, DeRosa Environmental.
Hi, Mike.
Hello. Long time no see.
Yes.
Too long. I guess we'll jump in and I'll just start to, I'll share my screen.
Okay.
So Jackie and I have talked about this since the last time I think I was in front of the commission. Things were happening out on site. We were asked not to be involved in that Ray was going to take care of things, and he was keeping Jackie in the loop. And there were some things that got done with Jackie's knowledge. But when he actually, well, I'll just go through. So here's we did a memo dated February 4th, which kind of summarizes the whole history of the enforcement. And this is all about the bridge crossing. So I go through the history of that and I'll show you the plans and which will illustrate what the narrative talks about. And then I also talk about the change in the wetland mitigation plan. And basically it goes back to the Hayes plan, which was approved by this commission in 2018. And what they wanted, or what the commission approved, was 2,600 square feet of restoration. They did a total, based on my wetland delineation, they did a total of 1,610 square feet actually became wetland. And then, so we had to make up the difference, which is another 990 square feet. And that's what our revised restoration plan shows, or mitigation plan shows, for the wetland elements. And then Jackie was looking at aerial photos and discovered that additional buffer zone was also cut without the commission's prior consent. And that was 2,600 square feet. So we've added the same 2,600 square feet in the same area that it was cut. And I'll show you the plan there. And then on the bridge plan, because the bridge plan changed and the riprap, they're not really wing walls, but the riprap treatment was larger than the approved. We ended up with an extra 616 square feet that needed to be mitigated and restored, and the mitigation came out to be 690. So let's go to the plans and I'll show you that.
So sorry,
This is
just a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So right now we have the 990 plus the 3,200 that we're looking for.
Yes, we have a total of 3290
But what, so, sorry.
per buffer zone, and then a total of an additional 990
Okay,
to
and
get
that's,
to the 2600.
all right, thank you.
Yep. I know it's complicated. There's so
Yeah.
many,
Sorry for
Interesting.
interrupting.
there's too many pieces. So this is the Hayes plan that was approved by the commission back in 2018. And it shows the culvert in place, which when we built the bridge, we took that out and opened this all up. So this was the 2,600 square feet. The original plan, let me go, where did I put that one? This one. This is the plan that we presented initially. And this is the one that the commission approved under the enforcement order. Then when Ray went to build it, there were some changes to expand the riprap walls for stability of the embankment. So that was this plan, and this is the one I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jackie, but I think Ray showed you this in the field or somehow got some information to you regarding this is what he wanted to build. Is that right?
I'm not sure if it was this plan, but there was some point where he sent me a plan saying that he wanted to do it, and I told him he should wait for the commission because I
Yeah,
can't
I
really
think
approve it. And
I
then,
think this is the one. This is the one John told me.
yeah, and then he came back to us and said, like, oh, I actually built it more closer to the first plan. So then, because we were
then
going to
he-
discuss the new plan with the commission, but then when he said that, the
Yeah.
commission was like, okay, we can, if we're going with the first plan, then everything's good.
Yeah.
But then I think we got
So
mixed
this
up
is the
after that.
as-built plan. So this is actually what got built. And this is where we ended up with all the extra square footage of impact. So this is sort of the new revised wetland plan, but it also has additional buffer zone plantings on it. So I'll do let's see if I can find my pen. Pen is, but anyway, you can see my cursor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are the boulders that he built, and I have pictures to show you too. So that's what got built, and that's what ended up being additional buffer zone impact. Because they're bigger and longer, they ended up with a little over 600 square feet more of disturbance to the buffer zone. And so we ended up adding additional buffer zone plantings, 210 square feet on this side and 480 square feet on this side. And that compensates for that 600, little over 600 square feet. And these will be planted with natives. They'll remain there. They won't be cut. They'll be naturalized and left alone. The other thing that happened is when he built the bridge, this area got all cleared out, and Jackie has some pictures which I'll show you. So this area I didn't do a square footage of it, but it's disturbed soil. So we're gonna replant that with wetland seed mix and additional plantings that are on the plant list here, which they're all natives, includes high bush blueberry, sweet pepper bush, Joe Pye weed, swamp milkweed, New England aster, smooth goldenrod, New York ironweed, woolgrass and sensitive fern, and then a series of rushes, sedges, and ferns, sensitive fern in particular. So that area will get all replanted this spring. And then for the buffer, so these are the photos. So this shows that area of the buffer zone that was disturbed as part of the construction. And this is that wetland area, that green wetland area, which is this. And that'll get replanted. But you can see the soils are disturbed in there from the construction.
What now?
And then the buffer zone restoration. So these are aerials that Jackie was looking at. And this is October 2023. And you can see that this area is all vegetated. This whole area is vegetated. The road is here. It's mowed hayfield here adjacent to it, but this is all shrubs and brush. The bridge is going to go here, but it wasn't obviously not built yet. And then you go to 2025 and you can see that this area has all been cut. And the bridge, they're just about getting started to do the bridge. So that was 2025. So what I did was I took these aerials, I put them on the ANRAD plan or the ORAD plan now, because this is the plan we used, portion of the plan that we used for the ANRAD, and fit that in within the area of the 100-foot buffer zone. So that comes to 2,600 square feet of area that was cut in your jurisdiction without your permission. And then we're going to replant that with 1 gallon perennials and also seed. So that'll all go back and it'll become no disturbance zone, and be all planted in that regard. So those are the two things, and I think we can take questions now, but we'd like the commission to approve this under the enforcement order, amend the enforcement order yet again to include these restoration plans. And then Ray has approved us to work with him and his guys in the spring to actually do the work. So we'll be on site when that happens, not leaving him to his own devices. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you for the overview. So for the 2,600 square foot area that you just discussed, from the aerials, I feel like and maybe I'm not interpreting it correctly, but I feel like I'm seeing trees in there. In the 2023
in here.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, your restoration plan, I don't think is mostly small perennials, right?
It is perennials. We were going to put it back as a meadow.
Okay.
I think there's brush in here. I don't know if there's trees.
Okay. I'm happy to trust that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah. No, it's mostly brush, and a lot of it was honeysuckle and privet. So
My enemy.
we'd figure we'd maintain this as a perennial, sort of almost like a wildflower garden for pollinators, and maintain it that way.
Yep. Okay. For the bridge, I may be misremembering from our discussion last month, because it was quite late when we were discussing it. But for the bridge, I want to say that there was some discussion of shrinking the riprap, like pulling it in.
This is right here. So this is an area where, I don't know if we can see it here, maybe. But Jackie brought this up when she and I were talking about this. And I think it was in here, Jackie, right? There's a couple big boulders in here that kind of crept into the wetland area.
Yeah, that's the area that I'm most concerned about, with the riprap being in the actual wetland. It kind of looks
And
like.
I think what I put on the plan was that we would assess that in the spring once we can see it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Um,
covered in snow right now.
Yeah, excessive footprint of abutment can be moved out of the wetland area. So, and I think it can, I mean, just based on the photos, it would seem that, it looks like it's just that one big boulder. Or, there may be a half a dozen that could be moved out of there.
Yeah.
But Jackie, when we get ready to do the work, I'll call Jackie, and maybe Jackie, we do a site walk together and we actually look at that with Ray and see if we can move that.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
don't
idea.
think I don't think it would be a problem, and John didn't think so either, but we thought it best to look at it together in the spring.
Yep, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you don't end up removing it, the mitigation that you currently have still takes into it. I mean, it doesn't look like a huge amount of square footage there.
No, no. And we're a little bit over anyway, so I think it would cover it.
Okay.
And we'll have John do another as-built to make sure we have all the square footages right, if not more.
Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else that I specifically had. So I think I'd really like to see some conservation markers in all of these areas.
Okay, yeah.
I
I think
think
that's
the
a
more
really important point.
more the
Let's
merrier.
do that. Let's do it right now. I was thinking
So
of this. Yeah.
okay.
Good.
So what I was thinking is I think we definitely want to have them. We'll do them in blue. Whoops. Let's see. I think this is what I want. So we want to get the buffer zone, right?
Yep.
And I think, so I would say something like that, if you can see that.
Yep.
I
Yep.
can
I
see
like
it.
that. So that's 7. That feels
Yeah.
good to me for that side.
And then I think here we should do it as well.
Definitely.
And I almost wonder, I don't want to overdo it, but what if we mark the 100-foot buffer zone? And then
That
he'll
sounds
know
great.
he can't go in there, right?
That's a good idea.
And then that way, all this is marked.
I love that.
And
Yeah,
he's probably
great
not
idea.
going to go, he's probably not going to go into
Yeah.
this area anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a little bit of road in there, the gravel driveway, and that is staying.
Yep,
So, and which is what it is.
yep.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan of that. I guess maybe it's could you go back to the bridge detail, please?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, on the south of the bridge, there's also going to be some plantings happening. I don't know if it makes any sense to put anything on the south side of the bridge, on the right, south right.
This side?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I don't think he's going to be messing around with anything else here.
Okay.
The bridge is built.
Yep.
But I'm just cautious about the buffer zone areas.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering if we should have like a different marker, one that's for like the no disturb area versus the buffer zone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So this would be the buffer zone, which would be the furthest out. And then we could have maybe mark this as restoration area or mitigation area.
Mhm.
Something that says, okay, the plantings in here don't get messed with.
Mhm.
Jackie and I can come up with something, but I think something like that. And then he knows by marking the 100-foot buffer, he knows that anything I do in there, I have to go to conservation for.
Mhm.
And I think that makes it, there's no wiggle room, it's,
Yep.
which may make these redundant. I don't know. I guess Jackie and I can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily want to place any undue burden, but I would feel a lot more comfortable with potentially overdoing it than underdoing it
Okay.
on this.
Yep, that's fine.
But obviously I will look to the rest of the commission for their opinions. I don't mean to take over the conversation.
I think markers are reasonable.
Yeah.
Why not? We've had so
It's
many
pretty
discussions
standard.
on it.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think what
standard
Andrew,
practice in other towns too. So it's not you're not asking for anything over and above.
were you talking about like the 188 elevation line on the, I would assume is the south side of the bridge?
But
Because
possibly,
isn't that where it was mowed, or isn't that where some of that replacement is?
yeah, because I mean there is mowed lawn on the
So it would be the other side of the bridge,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I guess technically if it's been mowed, then and that side is not a disturbance or a current restoration area, he can continue to mow it. But I just, that the shaded green area on the south side of the bridge on the left,
Southwest, yeah.
yeah, southwest.
If this
Um,
map is oriented.
Over
Yeah.
here.
yeah, possibly. I mean, so things there'll be plantings in the dark green area, but then
Mhm.
south of the 188 mark that's just lawn currently, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, to
Um,
me that was what Jackie noted in the satellite photos, right? So how do we make sure we don't creep lawn back into that area?
Well, what we're thinking is we mark the whole buffer
okay.
zone there. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we have we have I'm just and I'm just thinking out loud here. So we're marking the buffer zone, the 100-foot buffer zone with one type of mark that says can't do anything major in here, but there's still areas that he can mow. Does it make sense to put the other type of marker also around the meadow area that we're creating?
Something similar to what we're doing by the wetland.
Yeah, and again, I'm just talking out loud. Um,
Yeah, maybe marking the corner
There-
of it would be helpful
two
so we
layers
can
kind
make
of for
sure it
each area
doesn't
almost.
shrink again.
Mhm.
Do we have, I've seen what we've got, which is like a salamander and it's yellow and it says, wetlands area. Do we have, another other form of signage that we use? Or is there just
So-
that?
I
So
have
we're gonna-
had other people make
So-
their own sign, so
Can you
yeah,
read that or
that's
is
a
it
good
backwards?
example. Yeah, we can read that. Ecological restoration area sign. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
And
like
it
that one.
says, here, wait, let me fix this.
I had
you have to turn off the blur in the back
Yeah,
for it
exactly.
to come
Yeah.
into focus.
we had another project where we required restoration area specific signs rather than our just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a fan of
our
that.
usual. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this would be like, and it labels it as a restoration area. So it's specific. And we had a bunch of these made because we have a constant problem with the landscape companies that come in and we'll do a bunch of plantings in a lawn area to convert the lawn to native plantings. And they'll cut in between every planting. And they were girdling shrubs and it was a mess. So we're fencing things off and we're putting those signs up now.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be pretty good here as well. So we'll use those signs by the restoration areas, by the mitigation areas.
So I've lost track of an exact number of signs, and I think that it probably would make more sense to determine that once the snow is melted. So I'm happy to leave that to Jackie to determine on site with you.
And I think they should be on the plan. So I'll
Yes,
mark up a
eventually.
plan with Jackie, and then they're on the plan and it's part of the record, so there's no question. How about that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And
So they'll
then,
be, as we can say, they'll be as discussed with me, and a revised plan will be submitted showing the agreed upon locations.
I guess I got to start making notes about motions here. Okay, so these are going to be conservation. Okay. Jackie, in terms of the numbers on this, do you feel comfortable that everything lines up with what you've seen on site, and that the restoration areas are going to match up with what we need?
Yeah, I think the plan looks like it covers everything we discussed. I guess my main question is, Mike, what's your timeline that you think would be reasonable for the plantings to be done by for us to set?
I think this spring, it might be a little later than other springs. But I think what I'm excited about this year is we have some snow cover, so the soils are going to be really good. But I would say May, before we can start sourcing things. So if we want to are you looking for a date to have the plants installed and everything?
Yeah,
If we could do like middle of June, June 15th, say, for a date, and then we can follow up. When is your June meeting? Do you have?
Be a little earlier than the 15th. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
I'm pulling it up right now on the website.
It'd be nice to be able to say at that June meeting that we're done,
Yeah.
June 10th is a meeting. Is that?
So let's say by June 5th.
Okay, so
That-
by June 5th.
Yeah, and if
That
we can get
sounds
them in
like-
the end of May, we'll get them in the end of May.
Mike, that sounds like music will be done.
Yeah.
So I have to point out, Mike, where your camera is positioned and the lamp above you, it appears that
I
you've got
know.
a halo.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want that.
Angelic.
Um, and then we're going to go with our standard 2 years of monitoring reports on these.
Yep.
You wanted a little more than that, though, didn't you, Jackie, somewhere on planting? Where was
Well,
it?
I think, and maybe the months leading up to it, we get some regular updates about what's happening on site.
Yeah, I think similar to one of the other enforcement orders, we could have monthly updates whenever work is taking place. I think we required that on all of the enforcement orders on Johns Lane anyways. But we'll keep that requirement that any month in which work takes place, we want a monthly update.
And you wanted some qualified professional to look at it, correct?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So requiring the monthly updates from a qualified professional. I can't require it to be a specific person, but yeah. Oh, Ray is in the waiting room, so I'm letting him in.
Updates.
Okay, was there anything else?
Hold on. A deadline. Conservation markers, you're going to determine monthly progress reports. We're comfortable with the dimensions. We're comfortable with all the plantings. We have an as-built for the bridge that is accurate at this point. Is that correct, Jackie?
I think we did.
I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah, I would add all the requirements within the, or all the plans that are within the narrative for the restoration plan need to be completed. Like the narrative.
Okay, then I'm all set.
I think I am as much as I can be at this point.
Okay, do we want to amend the enforcement order to add these requirements?
Yep. Yeah, I can do that. I was just waiting to confirm that everyone else didn't have any more questions.
Anyone
Good
else?
too.
Then, so am I putting forward a motion to require the implementation, or am I amending the enforcement orders?
Amend the enforcement order to require
Okay, thank you.
such and such criteria that we agreed to.
And I only need to amend 2016, correct?
Yes, 2016-01 is the one for the bridge and surrounding bridge area.
Okay, then let's try this.
All right.
I'm going to put forward a motion to amend the amended enforcement order 2016-01 for 25 and 20R Johns Lane, map 76, lot 004, to require the implementation of the revised restoration plans dated 2/1/26 and 2/2/26, and narrative dated 2/4/26 by June 5th. That monthly progress reports from a qualified professional each month where work is taking place be submitted. That 2 years of monitoring reports at the close of 2 growing seasons following planting. That conservation and no-mow signs will be installed at the boundaries of the 100-foot buffer zone and the restoration areas, the number and location of which will be determined after discussion with the conservation agent, and that a revised plan will be submitted with their locations.
What was the other kind of sign you wanted up?
Did I say conservation and no-mow signs?
Yeah, were those it? Okay.
Yeah, conservation
All right.
signs and then the no-mow signs.
Okay, sorry.
Yep. That those signs be installed within 2 months of the restoration plantings, and then replanting for any restoration areas with less than 80% survival of plantings following each monitoring report, that replantings take place if there's less than 80% survival. Okay, I think that's everything that was on my list. I'm sorry if that was a little bit wonky, Chris.
I'll second that motion.
And how do we vote? Dodd Shamrock, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Ben Kayla, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mike, very
All
much.
right. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome, Ray.
I guess moving on to the other Johns Lane orders, we had no updates on the other two, which were the 2022 and the 2024, so we can skip those. And And then the next topic is the buffer zone waiver request worksheet. This has been on our agenda for a while, but we never really decided if we're going to use it or not. I did 2 versions of it, one with the suggested changes to the regs. So we could still use it with the proposed changes, but this
So
is oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think having a discussion on it is fine tonight. I just, with Jen not being here, I know that she has a lot of thoughts on this, so I'm not sure that I'm comfortable making a motion on it tonight. I hate pushing it out another month, but I think that changes like this are something that we should try to have all 5 of us here for.
I would agree.
I agree.
I'm sorry to push it out another month.
No, that's fine.
And if we're making, you know, significant substantive changes to the text, I think that, you know, we should wait until those items are settled before we, you know, roll out a worksheet that we may have to pull back if they're, you know, based on other changes.
I think that makes sense. So regs first, then worksheet.
Right.
Okay. So do you want to do the full rewrite of all of the issues in the regs before we change?
No,
the
this
worksheet?
one issue,
Just
I
the
think this
waiver?
one, yeah, the waiver issue
Okay.
before the waiver worksheet. You know, I as Andrew said, we really do need Jen to participate in these conversations. But I, you know, if Jackie, if you want me to speak to some of the issues that I pointed out in my January 6th email.
I'm comfortable discussing it because Jen can watch this section or the whole meeting and, you know, provide her thoughts. I think while we have a relatively short meeting, this seems like a good meeting to discuss some of this stuff.
So if I'm able, I'll share my screen. Can I share my screen?
You should be able to.
Okay, I want to be careful because my work laptop is attached to the big monitor and I needed to be able to see the stuff that. So am I sharing my screen? And blow it up a little bit. So let's start with the language. So here, and these are our bylaws and kind of, you know, our remit, you know, if you think of laws and statutory configurations as an inverted triangle, you know, the state law is, you know, the broadest and it is controls over the state regulations. And then we get our authority that flows down from those, and our authority and our remit, you know, our regulations can't supersede the other regulations. And I pointed this out in an email back in January that this key text, no work shall occur in the setback areas except provided, you know, as maintenance or waiver. So then that's what kind of directs or creates our authority to, you know, setback areas, except if it's maintenance or waiver. And this is what, you know, brings things into the scope of TCC waivers. And when I looked at it, a couple of things. So here we can only waive provisions that are outside the scope of the Wetlands Protection Act. We don't have the authority to waive provisions that are in the Wetlands Protection Act. Only the state has the ability to do that. And you know, and I'm not an expert on this, but my understanding is the process for getting a waiver at the state level is you know, make a request to the local conservation commission, you're denied, and then you appeal that to the state. And then when it's appealed to the state uses its judgment. And I think that when these regulations or bylaws were drafted, somebody cloned out of the state language the language for waiver provision. And the waiver here that appears in our text is waiver is necessary to accommodate an overriding public interest or is so restricts use of the property that it would constitute a taking. So there's a whole body of very complex jurisprudence around Fourth Amendment unconstitutional taking. And it is beyond our ability to make those kind of judgments, in my view, because we don't have the knowledge and the expertise. I think that this language was cloned from the state waiver provision. And because our authority to waive provisions is our authority to waive the delta. The provisions under, and I'm making a lot of assumptions, and maybe we need to consult with counsel on this, but our ability to waive, we only get to waive the things that are more stringent than the state applications. And our current text doesn't really say that. You kind of have to really dig deep to figure out that's what it says. So I think that we really need to modify the text, and one of our options is to just remove this text, regarding overriding public interest and constitutional takings, is not likely to be a fact pattern that would meet these two tests. This is an or, overriding public interest, or that would
Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm definitely, this is another world that I definitely don't spend any time in. So I've tried to research what this provision means, or whatever this language means. Could you give an example of what an unconstitutional taking without compensation in the context of a conservation commission would be? And maybe we can't, maybe you can't, because it shouldn't ever come up for us. I struggle to even know
right.
when this would be applicable.
Let me ask Dr. Google.
Okay. Sorry
because-
to derail you.
So
I've struggled. The other ones I can understand. This one, I still struggle to wrap my head around, when this would come up for us.
Yeah, I agree. I understand overriding public interest, I think. Although that's still kind of how do you define public interest? Because people will argue that anything is in public interest.
Exactly.
But
Right.
then
Right.
unconstitutional taking, I don't even know what that
isn't what is, if we say no to something, is that not us saying no, you can't? I struggle to know where the line is drawn, or what it even means.
So I don't think we necessarily kind of, to point to your kind of instinctive question. I think that overriding public interest and constitutional takings probably aren't going to fall within our remit, because our authority to require obligations that are beyond, so we're not, if you think of it as a Venn diagram, so the big circle is what we're doing by way of cascading down to our authority under the Water Protection Act, the law. And then if the internal thing is, an orange, and then our authority, where we're more stringent than what the state requires, is our specific obligations. And some of our specific Topsfield specific obligations, there's a little asterisk, and it has to do with more stringent obligations in the buffer area. It has to do with more stringent, riparian areas. So our authority to waiver is only the orange peel. We can't waiver the inside of the orange, because that's all WPA state. We can only waiver the orange peel if we're talking orange analogy to Venn diagram, what we can waive, which is the additional obligations outside of what the state requires.
So we
So-
we as a group don't have the authority to, in your opinion, I'm not saying, that we
yeah,
do,
right.
that we do not have the authority to waive things related to unconstitutional taking without
You
confirmation.
leaving?
Is that
Well, the kind of the alignment of the fact pattern, like we only have the
Excuse
authority.
me, folks. I've got to step away from the computer for a minute.
would you like me to mute you, Dodds?
Yeah, that would be fine because my family's leaving right now.
Okay.
So, okay, thanks.
Sorry, Maureen. Thank you.
So there may be an overriding public interest, or a constitutional taking. But if I can stop sharing my screen. But these other standards, kind of when we've addressed this, we usually focus on 1, 2, 3. We kind of no alternatives, mitigating measurements, and then everything has to be in accordance with state regulations.
It
So
goes without saying.
it goes
Yeah, so
without
is C not
saying.
redundant
This is
anyway?
really almost redundant
Okay.
text. But if you look up, so there's a little asterisk
Mhm.
that says this is not identical to the analogous requirements under the state law. And there's overlap, but there's some extra obligations. So
Yep.
let me stop sharing my screen. Because a while back I asked this question, and
Just for Chris's sake, we are skipping the vote to amend the regulations because Jen
Yes.
is not here, right? So we are
Yep.
now on the discussion of proposed future changes to the regulations.
Yeah, or we're talking about kind of not changes, but
Oh, okay, so I just have to interject for 1 second because I want to make sure I'm in the right
yeah. Well, we're
discussion.
talking.
We're under the topic of discussion of proposed future changes to regulations for Topsfield General Wetlands Bylaw.
Yes.
That's what the discussion is under that heading right now.
Yeah.
We've skipped over
Okay.
the previous 2 items, I
So
think.
we skipped over the previous 2. That's what I didn't know. Thanks for
Okay.
clarifying. That's helpful.
All right. Sorry, Maureen, you can go ahead.
So I tried to do kind of in alignment for, and maybe Jackie, you can speak to this, but kind of trying to figure out what some of the, so here, I guess I can share my screen. And this is just kind of trying to get oriented around this question. So, I used AI and I said, here's the relevant section from the state WPA, and here's the section from our TCC regulations. What are the differences? And AI caveat, this is not my field of expertise, but document, this is our document. Document imposes proactive mitigation measures beyond CMR's indirect. Document sets a stricter timeline. Document prohibits all alteration, exceeding the conditions allowances. So, this is the delta. And I think that
I don't think the riverfront area is correct because we don't prohibit all alteration in riverfront area as far as I know, right?
I don't know. This is AI caveat, but this is kind of, and we need to figure out, kind of what the delta is, but these are the kinds of things, our ability to waiver only is for the gap stuff. we can't waive the standards under the WPA. So kind of, if these are the differences,
So
assuming
one que-
assuming these are the differences, if the difference freshwater wetlands replication within 2 growing seasons versus within 1 growing season, you know, this delta isn't going to implicate kind of the takings clause. It's a timeline. So I think that, you know, step one is to better understand, you know, our Topsfield conservation bylaws and regulations versus the state law and regulations, and what's the delta, because we're not and I'm making jumps and assumptions, but I think that, you know, kind of it makes sense that if our authority is this inverted triangle and we're, you know, at the narrow end of the triangle, we don't have the authority to waive anything that's under the WPA, but that has to go up to the state level.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something that town council can check once we write our regulations. Like
Right,
if
but
we,
I
if we
think
give them
that-
a draft,
I
maybe
think
they
that
would be able
conceptually
to.
we need to understand, you know, like what we're working with before we draft pros. And I did, you know, mark up the document to incorporate these. And, you know, I said in my email to you and Jen back in January, you know, this is conceptual. Once we figure out, and that's, you know, how you draft, you know, legal pros. You have to figure out what the goal is, and then you have to polish the language. So I think that we need to kind of understand what the delta is. You know, what are the Topsfield specific provisions that we actually have the authority to waive, confirm that there is this distinction and that we don't have the authority to waive state level requirements.
Yeah.
And
So
then
are those
what
gaps?
those are, and then whether, you know, public interest and takings clause really are relevant factors to consider for those specific delta requirements that are more stringent at the Topsfield level than they are at the state level.
Right. Are those gaps there's the bylaws and then there's the regulations. We're not talking about changing bylaws, we're just talking about changing regulations right now, correct?
Yeah, but
so where do those gaps actually end up showing up? Do we gain our authority from the bylaw or from I mean, it's both, but like
it's a little bit of both. But
yeah,
but
I think all the
there's more
regulations have to be
specific
based
details.
on the bylaw.
Yeah, it flows down. The regulation, it elaborates on and gives more specific details to the core concepts that are in the bylaws.
Okay.
So, you know, we can't make a decision on this. This is just kind of identifying issues, not identifying answers. But I think we need to and for us to be able to implement the Topsfield regulations, I think we need to better understand, you know, the scope of our authority and, you know, where we are appropriately entitled to make waivers or authorized.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think like one of the main goals in my mind is to make it just make sense to someone who's reading it.
Right.
Because like with the 2 different sections, like the A through C and the A through E, I feel like we should combine it into one waiver section where it's not split up like that.
yeah.
So it's easier to understand.
But if we're going to entirely strike considerations for, you know, public, you know, if public interest and takings clause, you know, are not relevant, then we can strike it and simplify it. If
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
if anything we can simplify or take out if it's if it's something that goes without saying or is repetitive,
Yeah.
I think would help a lot.
Yeah,
So,
and we could strike sub C, because
Yep.
you know, so in my email to you and Jen at the beginning of the month, I proposed new language that said, conservation may by affirmative vote, blah, 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 waive the application of one or more of the regulations contained in A through E of this section relating requirements that extend beyond the scope of the Wetlands Protection Act and or the Rivers Protection Act. So, the commission does not have the authority to waive the requirements set forward in yada, yada, yada. Therefore, requests to waive the WPA and the Rivers Protection Act requirements will be denied. But
and
I think that we need to better understand how our bylaws and our regulations, what the specific requirements are that extend beyond the WPA, and then confirm with council that those are the only things that we are authorized to waive.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so, and this is, I first want to say there's an enormous amount of background work that goes with each application, and I'm probably going to say something that's like extremely obvious here that you do anyway, Jackie. But I guess for my own sense of just like understanding this, so we have to first confirm that this, if there were no additional Topsfield regulations or bylaws, that this would be okay with the WPA. And assuming that that is okay, then we have to give a waiver for our specific regulations, and that's what we actually have the capacity to vote on. If it doesn't pass WPA, it's just, we just deny it anyway.
Right, we shouldn't be waiving WPA.
Right.
Okay. And this is me not having any idea how to live in this, like this is so beyond my knowledge, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that we can issue an order of conditions under the WPA, but not under the bylaw. Which effectively means that they can't go ahead with it. But I think technically if a
We don't
project
usually do that,
complies
though,
with the
right?
WPA and not the bylaw, I think we're supposed to, I mean, definitely with RDAs too, because RDAs, like you can make it a negative under the WPA and a positive under the bylaw. So
We don't usually do that though, right?
I mean, no, we usually wait until a project gets to a point where we can approve it. Like we would ask them to change it. But there are strange situations where,
Okay.
and I think someone can apply for an order, apply for a notice of intent only, or an RDA only under the Wetlands Protection Act or only under the bylaw, and then we make our determination, but then they're not allowed to do it unless they have approval under both. So that's,
it'd be like two applications instead of,
it would be kind of like not a, I mean, we definitely do have ones that are only under the bylaw because we have bylaw riverfront area, which WPA doesn't apply to. So in those
yeah,
situations, I mean, maybe
that
we
one makes
could,
sense to me.
maybe we could be requiring things that are not compatible with WPA, but
Or
that
flow
would
down from,
overcomplicate things.
use a water
Yeah.
Yeah.
analogy.
So there's all those layers of
Yep.
complexity, but I mean, normally things stay simple just because that's like the easiest way. Normally people are submitting applications under both the bylaw and the WPA because that's what they need to do if they want approval in most cases, unless it's a bylaw only resource area. But there's those things to think about. I'm wondering if Maureen, do you have a Google account? Would you be comfortable putting this into a Google Doc so that me and Jen can look at it? I don't think the
I
whole
emailed it to
commission
you.
should.
I
know you did, but I'm just thinking somewhere where we can all comment on it in the same.
I don't have a personal Google account.
Okay.
I really just more of that stuff on my work related account, which I couldn't use in this context.
Do you have Word for the web?
No.
All right, I
Any
guess
editing
we will have to
capacity
just
in
send it back
Dropbox?
and forth.
But I think that once the core concepts, the kind of threshold questions are, what is the delta? What are our requirements that exceed the WPA and the Riverfront Protection Act? And then, we'll better understand which specific obligations or commitments we can waive. And then we'll better understand, what are the appropriate factors for us to consider when we're doing waiver. I really do believe that our waiver provision was essentially cloned out of the waiver provisions from the WPA, and it may not have applicability. And I think that if there is, kind of the hyper technical legal question of whether something is a taking under the Constitution, let's leave that for the experts at the state level.
Yeah.
Really, if it is like an additional commitment, then, kind of mitigation factors and the other considerations that we, typically focus on, should be the sole considerations, and maybe public interest in the taking clause should not be included as a requirement, because currently it's an and. So, even though we haven't given a lot of attention to those two threshold questions, when we look at waiver requests, it may make sense just to remove.
Okay.
Will it
Yeah, I
make,
think
will
let's
it, will
go
it
back.
make,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dodds.
will it make easy sense to the average person? That's what we're also trying to do,
Right.
so that
Right.
somebody
Well,
looking over the application can figure this out.
Homeowner's not going to know whether, an act by the Topsfield Conservation Commission, triggers the taking clause under the Constitution. So maybe it makes sense to eliminate it, but I think there are threshold questions that we need to better understand before we can make that assessment.
Yeah, we were trying that was our overall goal from what I recall. So, and I'm kind of on Andrew's side on this one. I'm glad you're the lawyer, and I'd go to you if I needed you.
I'm not giving legal advice. I'm
I know you're
issue
not.
spotting.
I understand completely. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think let's set up a meeting with Maureen and Jen and me
Yep.
to go over it more in detail. I don't think I agree with what the AI came up with, but I'm not sure how else we can do that task. It seems like a very difficult task, but we can talk more about how to do that.
And that's why I said caveat. AI
Right.
hallucinates.
Yeah.
But this was just when I asked myself the question, what's the difference? I ran this and I'm like, these are the kinds of things that may be the difference.
Yeah, no, I get the concept. The concept is great.
Yeah.
I just don't know how we're gonna be able to figure out, like, it seems like a very insurmountable task to like figure out every difference between the bylaw.
That's why I used AI. I've got other versions that from back
that's why we have
in
town
November
council as well.
Yeah, and we can save money if we line up the questions. So I've got other iterations of asking that question using AI, and I said for the output, provide the text from the state law, provide the text from Topsfield law, and tell me what the difference is. So this tool may be a starting point to line things up and for us to be able to appreciate the differences. I just showed you that screen grab of the 3x3 matrix column as an exemplar, and I kind of regret having shown it at all.
No, I mean, I like seeing that as the concept, because like that is what we want to do.
We want to understand, what is solely under our remit versus what our commitments are that come down from the WPA and the state. Because there's preemption. There's, the state gets to decide the big issues, and we certainly, I assume, don't have the authority to waive anything at the state level, and that has to go up by appeal to the state.
I remember from some previous discussions as well, we looked at other towns' regulations, and I do feel like we saw pretty similar provisions.
Yeah, So that might be, I don't know if it's coming from like an example that everyone's using, but I have seen that like the public interest waiver provision in other towns' bylaws.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's means that it's right or any by any means. I'm just saying like this is I don't think that we've been doing something that's totally out of the realm of what other towns have been doing. And I guess I'll ask Jackie, like, how? I mean, I don't know that we've in my time here. I'm not sure that we've ever sent anything up to the state in that way. I mean, occasionally we'll ask for we obviously ask for feedback and everything, but I'm trying to think of any time that we said like, no, you need to go all the way to the state for this waiver. And I don't know if you have a past experience in previous towns.
I
can
guess
think of-
denying the permit under the Wetlands Protection Act would be in effect making the applicant go to the state for clarification, like if they try to appeal it.
Okay. Okay.
I assume that that was what we meant by that.
Okay.
So for Ipswich, a waiver of submission standards. There isn't like a waiver, a full-blown waiver of.
Okay. So that implies that Ipswich doesn't, if it doesn't meet the regulations, then there's no opportunity to go around them. Correct? Oh, no? Okay. Again, I don't know anything.
There's always, if you're denied, then you get to appeal to the state.
Right. Okay.
I sort of suspect ours is like that we need this waiver provision because our regulations say that there's basically no work in the buffer zone allowed at all, which is very strict. And so that's why I think we have all of those waiver provisions
Okay.
compared to other towns where usually there is buffer zone alteration allowed as long as it meets certain criteria. Like sometimes there's a 25-foot or 50-foot no build zone. I think that's more common in other towns that they have buffer zone alteration is allowed as long as it meets the guidelines of protecting the interests, protecting the wetland. And then sometimes they have like a specific no disturb zone, which we don't have. We have basically a 100-foot no disturb zone with a whole bunch of waiver provisions allowing you to disturb it if it meets criteria.
So we're more strict, but we give ourselves ample opportunity to waive those.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, let's set up a meeting with Jen and go from there. But thank you, Maureen, for all your work on this.
Yeah,
Thank
Maureen,
you,
that's
Maureen.
awfully nice of you to go do all this
Yeah, I like a
and try to
puzzle.
explain it to us.
I like a puzzle. I like to understand things and, go
Yeah.
back to the initial text. So more issue spotting and, asking questions rather than, offering advice here.
Mhm.
Caveat.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
The challenge will be getting it across to all of us.
So we're not voting on anything with this.
No,
correct?
we're just talking.
Talking.
Okay, because I know you've got two other, like they were like suggesting motions,
Oh, we
Back
skipped,
to
we
paragraph.
skipped the vote because we didn't want
but
to do it
Jen's
without
not
Jen.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you've got another vote to amend chapter R10, so we're not doing anything with that.
Nope.
Correct.
Okay. Do you want me to leave that in the draft, Jackie? Because you've got all those suggested revisions to section R10-4.
Oh,
Do-
you can
do-
put all of those under discussion for proposed changes to regulations.
Okay, I'll
agenda
move
item.
that. Okay,
And then you can just say, we deferred the vote or no discussion of the vote in the prior section.
okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I mean, I guess I'll move on to Grove Spring. We have been invited to host a table at the Grove Spring Expo, which is on Saturday, April 11th. Last year, this was from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., so I assume it would be similar timing. And so I'm just wondering if anyone is interested in sort of staffing the booth at the event. If so, you could give out flyers. Maybe we could get more seed packets like we did last year. But I need to decide if we are able to do the booth or not based on if anyone's available.
Say the date one more time. Sorry.
Saturday, April 11th.
I don't know yet. I'll have to see.
Yeah,
I can get
don't-
you an answer, but I don't look to have anything, so I should be good. Just have to check with my better half.
Okay. Yeah, if you could let me know, let's say by this weekend, so I can decide if we should reserve our spot or not. Anyone else?
I'll have to check. I don't. I that time of year is pretty rough for me, so I probably will end up saying no, but I'll check.
Okay.
All right, next, are the meetings? Did anyone look them over?
Yep, I think they all look fine to me.
Okay. Do we have enough people here who've done it?
I think pretty much everyone was here for all of those. Yeah.
Can we do it as one group?
Yeah. Yeah.
Want to make a motion?
So Maureen was not present at the December meeting.
But was everyone else?
So
Every-
Maureen is still allowed to vote on the minutes, but you probably would only want to if you watched the recording. So I don't know if you watched that particular recording.
I did watch a recording. but
I
it
can
was
make
only-
two motions if you'd rather abstain
Yeah.
from that vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me just pull up notes again. Okay, so I'll start by making a motion. I'm going to start with the December vote, and then I'll do the other two as one vote.
Okay,
So this first one would be the one that you would abstain from, I think, Maureen. So I'll put forward a motion to approve the meeting minutes for December 10th, 2025 meeting as written.
I'll second that.
and how do we vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Ben Kayla, aye.
Good.
Please abstaining. Okay, I will now put forward a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the October 29th, 2025 special meeting and the January 14th, 2026 meeting as written.
I'll second that motion.
And how do we vote? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Warren
Ben Keller,
Bresnahan,
aye.
Warren
Okay.
Bresnahan, aye.
Okay. I'll give my report. So I had someone reach out who's a grad student studying ecological landscape design who is interested in joining the commission, but I told her we don't have any room on the commission, but that I'll keep her in mind. So that's always nice to know that there's people interested for the future. Also, we have our MACC conference coming up on February 28th. Let me know as soon as possible if you intend to sign up through using our funds.
That's the in-person one, right?
Huh?
That's an in-person meeting, right?
Yes, it's in person in Worcester. I'll be there.
Be able
So
to-
if anyone
yeah,
wants
yeah.
to join me.
I'd be able to ask some questions about our open questions.
Yeah. And then another thing is Jim McDougall, who I think was a prior conservation commissioner, shared some habitat maps with us. So I've put them in the shared folder if anyone wants to see them. They're pretty good. And
Yeah, they're pretty cool to look at. They almost look like a video
Yes.
game map.
yeah. And our next meeting is on March 11th.
Anyone else have anything to add? And do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we close the February 11th, 2026 meeting of the Topsfield Conservation Commission at 8:36 p.m.
And thanks everyone who listened in. We appreciate your interest. And thanks committee members.
Do we need to vote on closing the
I
meeting?
second the motion.
Okay, you can vote.
I second the motion.
Okay, how do we vote? Todd Shamrock, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Ben Kayla, aye.